What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Uh, Apologize for the hiatus. I guess I shouldn't really apologize because, well, I had to go put in some work. But that's just kind of how this channel will work. I'll get videos in when I can. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. So today I figured I'd kind of go over. I got some new ammunition. Trying out some new stuff for my next Tactical Games event. So I just figured I'd kind of go through the process of how I zero my weapon. Um, I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds in every single thing possible because there is quite a substantial bit, little bitty nuances and stuff like that that I would pick up as an instructor if I was helping somebody. But I'm just going to hit the wave tops of everything and just kind of show you guys what I'm looking for, what I'm thinking about while I'm going through this process. Um, I'm still shooting a 77 grain projectile, so it should be pretty similar. We'll see how much it changes from my last 77 grain projectile. I've got my Garmin Xero C1 chronograph up here. Uh, Almost priceless tool. Highly recommend it. It's very accurate. It's done. Absolutely love it. How simple it is. How easy it is to set up. All that kind of stuff. So, but yeah. So some things I'm thinking about, shooting in general, but most certainly when I'm zeroing is one thing starting off is like body position behind the gun. I want a nice straight line coming from, basically, if you were to put a pipe into this gun and my barrel and run it straight down my back, it would basically run off the right down the right, butt cheek, if you will. So I want to get behind that gun so that I can absorb that recoil as effectively as possible so that it's not knocking me off or around while I'm zeroing, because I want to try to stay in the exact same position for the entire string of shots. And I shoot 5 shots for each iteration. Give me the best, idea to find that mean point of impact when I am zeroing. So I'm making sure I got a good body position behind the rifle. The next thing I'm really paying attention to is my breathing cadence. I want to make sure that, I'm fully exhaling. And at the bottom of that exhale, literally all the air is out of me, I'm completely empty of air. I usually have somewhere between 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds to break that shot. And so if I get through that 3-5 seconds, I won't, I'm not going to rush the shot just to get it off. You can breathe again. It's not going to cost you anything. So settle in, don't rush, take your time, get back into that breathing cadence and make sure that you're breaking that shot off with a completely empty chest of air. That's a big one. That will show up on the target if you're not. If you're like, sometimes you got a little bit of air or you're full of air or whatever, that will show up on the target. And we'll talk about that if I for some reason do it. Hopefully I don't. But yeah, so I'll try not to talk too much. Get this, make sure it's good to go, which it is. Get some ears in. Another thing that is important with shooting, I shoot this Nightforce ATACR up here, the great scope, and not all scopes will have this, especially if you guys are shooting LPVOs and stuff like that. So I've got a parallax adjustment on the left side over here. A lot of people treat it as a focus knob, which, yes, it will blur or focus the image, your target that you're looking at, but that's not its true intended function. Now, yes, if you get your target optically clear, yeah, you'll be in the ballpark of being parallax free, but you're most likely you're not. So one way to get as parallax free as possible, which is important, is, get on target, get your reticle on the target, and then without touching the gun, get behind your gun, look through your glass, and then move your head around, right? That reticle should not move around, right, with your head. It should stay still. If it's moving around, that means you haven't dialed out the parallax yet. So get behind it. All right, look around, bounce it around. All right, I got a little bit of parallax. I'll play with it. Now mine's got numbers etched into it, 7,500, 150, so on. That'll get you in the ballpark, right? So we just want to make sure we're trying to reduce as many errors as possible. It's all about, being precise, and precision shooting is, comes to stacking errors. Right, the less errors we stack, the more precise we're going to be. So we try to take out as many of those errors that we're going to induce as possible. Because if I were just to sit here and could sit this gun in some type of mechanical, saddle or whatnot, and have it mechanically pull the trigger, it's most likely going to put the bullet, hopefully, in the same hole every time if it's built right. Now this is an AR platform, so that's not as likely as with like a bolt action. So yeah, we want to reduce as many errors as possible. And one more thing before I go to shoot is, your trigger squeeze. Obviously, you want to make sure we're getting a nice, slow and steady press to the rear, knowing where that wall is, knowing how much pressure it takes to break through that wall, and then the follow through. So we break the shot, we hold that trigger to the rear, and then we slowly let off that trigger to find that reset. We'll hear that mechanical, that audible click. The trigger's now reset, and we hold the trigger there. We don't let it all the way out. We don't completely reset the entire system. So that way I know exactly where that wall is, and when I break that next shot, I know exactly how much pressure it should take. All right, let's get into it here. See what we can do. Hopefully I can put a good group or two together for you guys. No pressure, all right? All right. And another thing, I talk about shooting this 5-shot string, right? Well, I want to make sure that while I'm shooting this 5-shot string, that I don't break my cheek weld. All right, I want to make sure that I've got a nice, consistent cheek weld throughout this entire process. So I'm not going to come off the gun. I'm not going to fidget with things. I'm going to shoot all 5 shots in the exact same spot. Try to. And then I'll go down and check it. All right, see what we can do here. All right. So hopefully you guys could hear, maybe you can hear it through the microphone, but you hear that audible click happens well after the shot's been placed. So I'm sitting there, I'm following through, I see my shot impact the paper, slow, nice and reset, then break that second shot. All right, let's go down there and let's go check it out. All right, so not a bad group for the first shots of the day. So about the target, I draw this target myself. I draw it on graph paper. each one of these small blue circle or squares that you see there is a 1/4 inch. So each one of these black boxes that I've colored in here is 3/4 inch. So I expect my gun to shoot 3/4 inch or better. That's my standard. And it looks like we're absolutely well under 3/4 inch. So that's very positive. And when I'm shooting at this, like the old saying, you know, aim small, miss small, like that's a real thing. We actually got targets, and we can show that to students where if, you know, we'll put different size circles and objects and, you know, go through a course of fire, and you can actually watch your group size open and close just due to what you're aiming at. So I draw these out. I don't like shooting at circles. You know, in our crosshairs, what we're looking through, we've got a horizontal and vertical, and so which make our crosshair. So when I'm looking at this square, I'm not just aiming at this square. I'm aiming at this top left corner or any one of the corners. All right, and trying to line my vertical and horizontal crosshairs with that line. So I aimed at this top left-hand corner here, and you know, that's surprisingly pretty daggum good. I mean, I'm a tad low and maybe a little left. I mean, my mean point of impact may be hard to see because of the sun. I don't know if I can put some shadow in there, that'll help, but yeah, that's a super tight group. I'm really happy with that. That's got to be 1/2 inch or even smaller. But it's a little low, but I'm all right with that. So I'll go back, I'm gonna make an adjustment. I'll probably come up a click, and I might go left 1 click. But that's probably gonna be about it. So we'll go make those adjustments, and then we'll shoot another group. All right, we got that first group done. I'll come up here and make my adjustments. We were low and left, low and right. So we're gonna come up, I'm just gonna go up 1 click. This scope is in 0.1 MRAD. So it's actually probably gonna be a little more than I would like, but we'll see. We'll just try it and see what happens. And we were to the right, so we're gonna come left 1. All right. So not to get too down in the rabbit hole now, you know, there are people out there, and there are some times where, you know, if you know, we can obviously only adjust it so much because of the adjustability of our scopes, right? With 0.1 MRAD, what we're shifting at 0.39 inches per click. So, you know, if you can't get it exactly, obviously it's you know, somewhat, unless you just get lucky. You know, so when it comes to windage, I would personally tend to want to be on the left side of a perfect 0, simply because of spin drift. Now, obviously that's not something that, you know, we really need to think too much about in the tactical games, but at distance, it does play a factor. You know, obviously because this is a right-hand twist, that bullet's coming out and it's spinning, you know, clockwise, so it's spinning and turning to the right as it spins. So if I had to choose, I'd rather be, you know, just favored on the left side than the right side. That way it's kind of compensating for that, you know, spin drift that is going to occur at, you know, certain distances. All right. Let's see if we can put another group like that down. Another thing I'm paying attention to, I've got my bubble level here. Just want to make sure that I'm nice and level. Don't want to be 0 in this thing and, you know, it be candid. And another thing you may notice from the previous shot, my thumb is not wrapped around on the pistol grip here. It is actually sits on the same side as my trigger finger. You'll see a lot of precision shooters doing that. I like to do it. It's what we teach a lot of guys to do. It just kind of, it gives your trigger finger a better mechanical advantage to pull straight back into the rear versus when you got your thumb on this side. All right. At least the Mirage isn't too bad. What in the world is going on? Well, okay, we'll go check that one out. That one, not so good. That's okay though. Yeah, so not what I was hoping for, but that's okay. Um, you know, typically when you see a group like this open up like that, there's not a lot of vertical spread, so it's not necessarily breathing, because typically if you're breathing, cadence is wrong and you're not fully exhaling, you'll see a string. They'll be vertical. Typically when you see something open like this, it has to do more with parallax. Now unfortunately the Mirage is starting to kick up. I thought the sun was going to stay out or hidden, but it didn't. So we're starting to get some good Mirage kicking up, and that will affect things, but typically this means my parallax may not be that focused or dialed out. So I'm not going to touch it. We did make that move. I mean, it did come up and to the left, but a lot more than I would have liked. So I'm not going to touch anything. We're just going to go back and shoot another group, see if we can make sure that we got everything dialed in to shoot more groups like this. That's what we want. All right, so we're going to get down in here and we're going to check our parallax. And also, like, one thing, so when you're collecting data, obviously the more you can shoot and allow it to collect data, the larger sample size it will have. Therefore, the more accurate the average will be. So I try to shoot at least 20 rounds when collecting data. I mean, you can get away with shooting 10 and then go true it, but the more you can collect, the more accurate it'll be initially, to give yourself spend less time chasing your true. All right, let's get behind here and see if we can't make sure this thing's. I mean, it don't look like it's moving. All right, maybe it's just me. That's fine. One of those shots was me. The fourth shot was high. First shot was a little errant too, but all right, let's go down and check it out. All right. Oh, got some wind there. So here we go. Let me mark these. This horrendous group. All right, so same, still aiming at this top left corner. So I mean, you could see, I mean, we definitely moved up and to the left, so the scope's tracking right. This was my first shot. I'm a little confused with that one. This one I saw what I did. My breathing wasn't good there. But these three shots right here, I can deal with that all day. So yeah, it comes down to, all right, can I move it back, one, to the right? Well, if we're a 1/4 inch, if with the mean point of impact, being here, right? So if we shift it over, it's, right? So it's got to kind of play that game. Like I said, I'd like to favor left. I'd rather it not be this far left. So I most likely will bring it back, one click to the right. And I'm not going to touch elevation. I like where the elevation is. So I'm going to shoot that last group. I'm going to move it one click to the right. We do have a little bit of a right to left wind out here right now. Not full value, but it's probably like maybe 3 miles per hour, maybe 3-4 miles per hour. So it shouldn't mess with it. It might push, it's a 77 grain 5.56, but it shouldn't push it too much. It may influence it a hair, but I'm not going to try to pay attention to that too much. So yeah, I'm gonna move it and then we'll shoot this last group. All right, so this is gonna be my last 5. Like I said, I'm gonna go back one click to the right. Not gonna touch elevation. And see if we can get a good group. Confirm everything. All right. God dang it. All right. All right. Let's go see it. All right. Well, I know what happened here. We'll just, nah. That was all me. That was a breathing cadence thing right there. That's okay. I saw that one. So yeah, as you can see, well maybe, let's see if I get it in a shadow or something here. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. That's a good tight group right there. All right. Like I said, that square is 3/4 inch. and we got plenty of real estate in between there, so that's, I'll take that all day. So yeah, we moved it back, as you can see, you know, same. But that's just kind of is what it is, you know, with the adjustments of this scope. Although they are fine, you know, trying to get super dialed, you're just going to have to, you know, play that in when you're going out to distance. So me personally, I might kick it back to the left side, because once again, I prefer to be on the left if I had to make a choice. So I'll go back. We'll slip the scope for the elevation and the windage, and then we'll talk about a few other things. All right. So we'll make that adjustment. Go back to the left just one, and I'm not going to touch elevation. So now we're going to slip those scales, and slipping the scales is going to look different for each rifle. Just got to undo. I think that's only got one set screw, if I'm correct. Yeah. Right. Release that one set screw. It should come off. You don't have to even actually take it off. And then line up that 0. Okay. Windage is good. Just be careful to make sure that you are fully backed out, so that when you rotate it, you don't make more adjustments. So I would always recommend after this shooting another group, just to make sure, because I have seen that. Guys have done that before, where, you know, when they were putting it back on or taking it off and they moved the dial, it, you know, made adjustments. So yeah, I'd shoot another group just to confirm 0. Not going to do that right now. So now that my scales are slipped, we're good there. Now what I'm going to do, I'll show you guys this. And this will be in another video. So we're going to go in here. We're going to end this session. All right, and now this syncs with my phone, but I can do it on here as well, so I'll just show you. All right, so we got 20 shots. You can see the min and the max, and there's my average, 226.71. You can see that extreme spread though, and that standard deviation is just not great. Shoots good groups, but this the ammo, the consistency is not great. Now it's not going to really obviously show up at these shorter distances, but once you start pushing this bullet out to range, that's when you're gonna see the difference there, especially with, you know, an extreme spread of 77. So not too happy with that, but I'm happy with the way it shoots. And for the tactical games, I've shot worse and still been successful. So I'll take this data now. I'll put it into my Kestrel. I've got my gun built in my Kestrel, and then we'll go through the process of truing this data. Because yes, this chronograph is very accurate, but we want to make sure that it's as accurate as possible. So I'll go in and put this data in my Kestrel, and I will then go out and true the data at distance, at a specific distance that I get through my Kestrel. So at the leading edge of, basically you want to true at the leading edge of transonic. So we'll do that. That'll be another video. So you guys check back in. I'm going to try to do that today and go out and shoot at some distance. And I appreciate you guys, and keep getting after it.